I'm waitlisted for Winter Park, so if I want to be like a 30 minutes away, so it then coming at least on Friday. I will walk the show to see the show, embark a couple of friends, and then after that, Saturday I will come back home, back to the
Yeah.
trailer.
Are you going to get aggravated because you're going to go, why is this person in this show and not me?
No, I'm not. It's more. I'm trying to figure out honestly, uh, what other people are doing to get into the shows that I want to do. So I just want to see what is the
Does,
see what's getting
I
in
don't.
and what's getting in.
does Winter Park know you're going to be there?
Yeah, I emailed them already. She said
Um,
that she told me she responded said it's good to know that you're going to be 30 minutes away. So
Tell her you'll be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, ready to set up.
Well, you don't have to do that, but I'll tell you, they don't call you till the day before.
yes, that will be Friday. Set up
Did
then.
Did you notice in the email that they sent to you if you moved up on the wait list?
No, they didn't move me at all. I was still number 2.
Yeah, they didn't move me either. I think they just sent it out. They called it an update, but I don't know what that meant. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to be there.
I know somebody got called in from the wait list from the sculpture section. So
For this year?
yeah, so it can happen.
I got called a couple years ago at the last minute.
So
I was actually on my way there. I was driving there, and they called me. And I
but
said, I'm on the way there.
so if I don't get in, I at least I can go and take pictures in a couple areas nearby there. So
I can tell you what's wrong with the clay category.
Yeah.
I finally figured it out. What's wrong with the clay category that you ask? Number one, there's not enough. They don't let enough. Oh, I'll wait for Cord to get in. Okay. What's wrong with the clay category? In every show, they don't let enough in. They keep cutting it back to almost zero. Definitely less than 10, like way less than 10. And the other thing is they have no the juries and the directors have no concept of what is considered really good in clay based on the clay industry or whatever you want to call it, the clay media, so that there's really good people that aren't getting in, that never get in, which they could rectify if they doubled the amount. I don't know why there's only like less than 10. In every show, there's less than 10 clay people. It isn't because the clay isn't good, because it's really good. It's really hard to do what people are doing, at least some people, and they don't get in. And it cannot be because of that they're not good enough. It's because the people that are looking at it and doing the jurying have no clue as to what is considered good in the clay world. So my latest crusade is doubling the amount of people of clay that get in the show, and it's still less than it was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, there'd be 30 potters in a show. Now there's less than 10.
How many apply?
Huh?
How many apply and what's the percentage that get in of the ones that applied?
Okay, I can only tell you about what I saw. So, like Cherry Creek's a good example. They had 100 potters apply, and I think they let in. I think I counted 8.
Ooh, that's bad.
So, I mean, how many painters are in a show? How many jewelers? I mean, it's let's make it a more equitable. It's my crusade because, and I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for me because I want to get in. So if you double the amount of people that can get in, then maybe I have a better chance of getting in. Here's my disclaimer. For the last 20 years, I've gotten into at least 2 of the really top shows every year. And this year I've gotten into nothing. So that's why I'm crusading for this. I took a look at it. You know, and I just think they're squeezing out the Potters. What people can say, well, there's not. Oh, why aren't there any Potters? Well, because the shows are squeezing them out. There's no opportunities to sell. There needs to be more opportunities to sell. At least in our thing that's called art fair artists.
Well, you have the numbers from Cherry Creek. Do the
Yeah.
numbers. Look at how many were accepted, how many applied, what's the percentage, and then do that for each category.
Yeah, and it's less in clay than in any other categories.
You ran the numbers and compared the percentages accepted, the percentage of accepted to
Somebody,
applied.
well, wait a minute. It doesn't necessarily be the amount that applied.
It should be a percent.
It
Okay.
could be well, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. A percent, if you have 100 apply, 10 are accepted, you got a 10% acceptance. What's the acceptance across all the categories? What's the acceptance rate across all the other mediums?
So if I got like 1,000 Potters to apply and they did 10%, then 100 would get in. You could get 100 in. I mean, if it's a matter of just getting people to apply, I'll get a bunch of people to apply in every in that category so that there's more people. I don't think that should necessarily be the criteria.
That's not the criteria,
solution.
but it's definitely one of them. How many photographers applied and how many photographers got in? How many jewelers applied and how many jewelers got in?
Well, I can't give you specific numbers right this second, but I looked at the thing, I did a general thing and noticed that I thought it was small, less than the other mediums. And then I started looking around. I don't know how many apply to every show, but I know what gets in, X amount get in. I just think there should be more Potters because I think it's the hardest medium. Like they do in Europe, like in Japan, like in Asia, plays like at the top of the list. And in America, 30 years ago, there were more Potters than anything else at the shows. Now, I'm not saying it should be like that, I'm just saying there should be more. You can have a different opinion. That's fine. That's my opinion. And I'm pretty solid about that. So
it should be it should be equal representation across every single medium. So it should be X amount of photographers, X amount of potters, X amount of painters, should be equal amount for everything.
Which is different than the percentage of people that apply.
Yeah, because the percentage of people, there should be more jewelers applications than anything else. There should be more photographer second up more than anything else. But there
shouldn't be more jewelers than well, there could be more jewelers, but not like 3 or you know what? I can't look it up right now because I'm in here.
It's not looking around. Just if it's a show is 100 artists and you got 10 mediums, it should be 10 on each medium. That's how it should be.
A lot of times
ideal that's the situation, but sometimes the applications are really crappy and one medium is going to overlap another one because it's better. You're always looking for the best show possible.
Exactly.
A lot of times, I hear jewelers complaining about how many jewelers were in the show. Oh, there are too many jewelers. I'm complaining that there's not enough clay people. So you know what? Eliminate some jewelers, make people happy, and add more Potters and make those people happy. And I'm telling you, I know Potters that are great that say to me, How'd you get into Cherry Creek? Well, I can't get in. Another way, I think they're way better than me in terms of form and their glazing and you know. Of course, I undervalue what I do, so you know, but still, there's people that can't get in that should be in these shows.
Oh, maybe don't apply, dude. Maybe it's
They-
too far. Like people don't apply to La Quinta because it's too far.
No,
Um,
it's not. People they apply. Look at people have said to me, potters have said to me, I stopped applying because I could never get into that show. And I look at their work and I go, there's something wrong here. They should be like at the top. They should get at the top of the list of people getting in. And it has
Well-
to do with how clay is perceived. What's considered good in the art fair market versus what's considered worldwide, you know, by by the medium itself. There's a problem between there. All I'm doing is trying to point it out so that maybe somebody will listen to me and they'll add more potters. That's my only motivation for doing it. Oh, the other motivation is maybe I'll get in, you know, get a better chance of getting in. So there's a personal aspect to it, selfish aspect, but also I'm speaking for potters. You know, I think there should be more. There should be more clay. And there should be a greater understanding of what's good and what isn't good. Whether it
Well,
happens or not, it's not, I'm at the end of I'm at the end of this, so it's for other people, basically.
I just telling you that basically it should be just based on equal amounts for each medium, and even that I
Why
cannot tell
should
you.
there be equal amounts of each medium?
What?
Why should there be equal amounts of each medium?
It's to just balance it out a little bit more. It shouldn't be one category dominating the show more than the other one. But at the same token, if you get photographers, crappy photographers applying to the show and you don't think that it should be good for the show, you don't let them. And then you have to go to the other mediums. So, but you know,
I think there's
that's
plenty.
my opinion, you know, but it's really, I cannot tell you. Ask me in a couple of Tuesdays from now, and I will tell you.
You know, one thing you know could be said. Well, we get more people coming to buy jewelry than anything else. Well, maybe people that buy clay or buy glass now or whatever don't come because there's not enough good people in those categories. They used to come. Maybe they don't come anymore because they're not represented. What they want to buy isn't that at the art fair. I mean, you can always count on jewelry. Those booths are always full, you know, and that's great. I wish all the booths were always full.
Yeah,
I
but
wish my
jewelers, you
booth,
have to be you have to be careful with jewelers because jewelers can be busy all day long. Doesn't mean that they're selling all day long.
well, that's okay. It's a certain percentage. I want my booth to be busy all day long, and you know, and maybe I'll get my percentage of sales.
Yeah, but the thing about jewelry is you have to walk in and say, hey, I want to see this piece and interact with the artist to actually see the piece. Whereas if somebody walks into, you know, my booth, Oscar's booth, your booth, Barry, they don't have to ask you. The piece is right there. It's big. It's right there in front of them. You don't have to hand it to them. So yeah, you can have just as many people. It just doesn't look like there's that many people because they don't have to wait for you to hand it to them.
Yeah, because I'm handing it to them already. Well, actually, I'm not handing it to them, but I'm talking to them. I engage with everybody that comes to my booth. Don't you, Court? Don't you, Oscar?
No,
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
it's cool. I would tell you, I always say hello to people that walk in the booth, but I don't engage them
Yeah,
to the
I
same
acknowledge
level.
them, but yeah, I acknowledge them, but I don't engage them.
You know, I want to engage
Don't
them
you-
if they show really interest in the piece and they're looking at
Yeah.
it.
Don't you
And then
think
I say, what you like about the piece?
I'm
Yeah,
including
I go
is
back
just
to my
saying
book.
hello is engaging. If you just say hello, hi,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, just don't go back to your book or phone.
know.
Yeah, basically.
That's really bad form. It used to be books. Now it's their phone, but you can also read a book on your phone. So it could
Hey,
still gonna be a book,
yeah,
just
but
be on
you
your
see,
phone.
you could look at your phone while you're walking, but you can't read a book while you're walking.
That's right. Or sitting in the booth, you could be watching a video of Eric Clapton, or a movie. You're watching a movie on your phone, or the hockey game, or whatever baseball game, and so you could do those things without actually having a book in your hand.
I would
It's
say
bad
about
form.
half the time that I'm on my phone, over half the time I'm on my phone in my booth is I'm doing social media from the show.
Showing, is that pictures or
Well, no, I'm just,
commentary?
I'll post something,
Yeah.
and post something in like 3 places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
Do
But
2 or
what kind
3
of things
posts.
are you posting? Pictures of other people's work, pictures of your work. What are you posting?
I post all sorts of stuff. Post a photo of my booth. I always, whenever the show starts, I have my mojo, which is this little stuffed Pooh Bear that my wife gave me, and a couple little wooden thing, I don't know what you'd call them, that decorations that John and Pat Hecker threw at me at a show one time. I have this little like shrine. It's my mojo, and I always start a show with a picture of Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear is out at this show in this booth. Just something I do. And then one time I took before a show, I took Pooh Bear around to a couple other booths and photographed the artists with Pooh Bear in their booth. Put those on social media.
I did that with my dog once at Fair in the Park.
Yeah, I just do different things during the day. Like I might do a photograph of one wall in my booth, or post a piece or 2 pieces, just different things.
Now, are you posting these on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page,
Yes.
NAIA site?
No,
Or
mine.
just your own, just personal?
Yeah.
Personal in the business also.
And then sometimes I'll post it and I'll flip through social media. If I see another artist at the same show that I'm doing, I'll repost or share, what they did.
There you go.
So Oscar, what's the weather like down there?
It's nice and warm right now. It's going to be, it was really hot on Saturday. Well, not hot. It was hot. It was 90, but it felt like 100. And considerably on Sunday. So but I can tell you, it's not bad. It's only 80 degrees right now. It's cooling down a little bit now.
Hey, it's 50 degrees here. Normally it's 20 degrees. There's no snow. There's absolutely no snow,
Well, you should be
which I'm not complaining
you should
about.
celebrating. You should go and find.
You mean I shouldn't be sitting here?
I don't know. You should be doing something productive.
Yeah, like sleeping all day from, tired from my trip. Hey,
No,
which
they
leads me to
cannot do that.
it leads me to a question.
Mhm.
And those are who are not speaking can usually, wake up and, enter their with it. I always, if I do, it doesn't matter whether I do one show, 3 shows, 5 shows, drive 1,000 miles, drive 200 miles. I'm always really tired after a show, and it takes me 3 or 4 days to recover. Am I like, is this usual or unusual?
I take,
That long tire, yes.
yeah,
That long tire, yes. But if you
It's your
are,
age.
No. I was the same way when I was 35.
no, it should not take you that long. It takes it usually after the show I call Monday lazy day. I try not to do that much on Monday, just to place the orders, see what I need to cut and whatever I need to get ready. Then Tuesday I do everything in the morning after I take pictures, and then jump to the Zoom meetings, and basically on tomorrow I take the day to do stuff for photography, and then on Thursday I pack out the van and go to the show.
I
But-
agree with Barry, though. It takes me over a week to recover from Comic-Con.
I think it depends if you're an introvert or an extrovert. If you're an introvert, it's going to take you longer because of the just mental.
The only shows that takes me a long time to recover is the ones from the morning setup. Those are the ones that usually takes me 2-3 days before I start feeling normal. But it's also, it also depends how you taking care of yourself during the week. If you're sleeping well, are you don't drinking too much coffee? Are you eating well after the show, resting after the show? Are you drinking enough water?
I don't know. Hey, we interrupted Court. Court was going to tell
Everything's
us.
gonna happen.
Court was starting to tell us that it takes him some time.
yeah, it takes me, depends upon the show, depends on how long the show was. Depends on what I had to do to get ready for the show. The first couple shows or the first show when I've been running around for a week beforehand, getting everything ready and cleaning out the van, putting stuff back in the van and all that, that lead up into the show also determines how long afterwards. But yeah, for me, it takes a couple days.
Hey, that part's a killer. Taking everything out and putting it all back, organizing and putting it all back. That just
It sounds like a show.
it wears me out. That's before I even leave.
Well, your stuff is heavy too.
Well, I don't know. Could be.
Well, pots are pretty heavy compared to some other stuff unless you have a big frame on a big picture. So you're probably going to get more heavy pots in the same space as, a big heavy picture.
And I'm about to, even though I'm going to do a couple of little pop-up shows. So I've got to go, pull I have a big print cabinet that all my prints in my booth go in to the cabinet, and it's a big rolling cabinet and it sits in my booth. But I've also got to pull out the cart that has my tent on it, because I'm going to do these pop-up shows, and I have like a little mini framework that I have to build. So I've got to kind of take some stuff apart in my tent frame to do that.
I want to know how I can be totally organized, not do anything, move anything around, and it looks like a mess like an hour later. I mean, did the
keep
stuff
trying to
just
get-
move?
I keep trying to figure out how I can put the stuff I need to get to someplace where I can get to it easily.
Yeah. That's funny. That's my favorite thing to do. Put what I really need in the farthest corner away from what I it's amazing. Like, how does that happen?
And then I end up with stuff after a show doesn't get put back where it belongs because yeah, I had a chance to put it away
That's
when I was
right.
packing the van, but I put something else in front of it as I was packing the van. So this now just gets tossed in the back somewhere.
I need lessons.
All the learning curve you've had, Barry,
What's that?
with all the learning curve you've had?
Wait, Lee, did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself, say hello, say I'm super new. I'm really glad to have this little forum, and I didn't really know how it worked, but as a totally new person who's only done one show, and I got in as like what's called a new and emerging artist section. So I was provided my tent, my pro panels, all that lovely stuff that I know is quite a process for artists when they're setting up. And I don't know if it's appropriate, 'cause I don't know how this forum works. So, you know, let me know.
Just
what my-
speak up when you want to say something.
Okay, I would love to find out what you guys do about a tent. What type of tent you have, because I'm looking at something right now that Anne Marie Siegel actually uses, and I think Larry, you did some photographs for her. I have a light dome that I got used, but it's so scary. It's big, it's cumbersome. My husband and I like cursed for a whole hour setting this beast up. So I was looking at something a little easier, but yet still sturdy. And I would just really love, and I don't know if this is a basic question. For me, it's a big question. What type of tents do you guys use? How do you set it up? How
Stick
long does
with,
it take you?
stick with the light dome.
Yeah, learn the light dome.
It'll get easier.
It will get
Yeah.
easier and they're easy to put up. The tent that a lot of us use is the flourish trim line, and it makes your light dome look like a piece of cake.
What about the extreme canopy?
Some shows don't allow those 10.
The
That's the
pop-ups,
problem.
I am not a fan of pop-ups because I've had in 30 years, I've had 3 pop-ups knock my stuff over,
Oh.
flying through the air.
I'm gonna put my 2 cents. There are some really good pop-ups on the market. There's some really good ones. Unfortunately, you get what you pay for. And a really good pop-up's gonna cost you probably $1,000 plus.
Hey, Court, have you actually looked at those tents? Because I've seen them for 1,500, 2,500. Are they that good?
Yes,
Yeah,
I've
Yes.
actually rented one.
The one I'm
Yes.
looking at it's called Extreme Canopy. And they do an advertisement, you can actually hang a car from it. It's incredibly strong. I've spoken, like I go to the art shows a lot and I ask people about their tents because it's a big focus for me right now. Do I keep what I have? I bought it used. It was in great shape, but I could also sell it again and invest in something that I, as you know, just starting out, can put up a little easier than the process of that light dome. So I
well,
would, what?
Lee.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When you start doing better shows, I don't know how long you're going to doing shows. You're going to find out that doesn't matter what pop-up tent you have, doesn't matter the quality. They're not going to let you use that tent. I would truly suggest to stay with the light dome. It gets easier with time. I got a trim line, and my entire setup takes me 4 hours. So it's not, but taking the tent down completely in a safe manner takes me an hour and a half. So it's just a matter of doing it over and over and over, and don't stress out about it. That's what they give you the day before to set up. That's what you get, 4 hours to set up. Just don't stress out about it, because you're going to find out that some shows won't let you in with your pop-up tent, even if it's the easiest and the best tent in the market. They're not going to let you in with that tent. They will tell you you're going to show up there in the tent, and they're going to tell you you cannot use that tent. So I would suggest to just line down. It won't take you that long. The light, putting the tent up, I see people put the tent in less than an hour.
Yeah.
It's not a 15-minute process, but it takes less than an hour. My tent takes putting the tent in the walls takes me just over an hour.
The
And I do
extreme
it-
canopy is the same price as the light dome.
How much is it now?
Well,
Mhm.
there are
Around-
4 different versions. They start at 500 and go up to 1,200, and that's
Yeah.
without the sides.
Well,
And
that's
my
not bad.
estimate is around 1,400, and I
Wait
really
a
wouldn't mind selling my light dome and investing in something that is, I mean, I would want it to be of good quality, obviously. And this is coming from someone so novice, you guys, like I've never done my own art show. That's my goal I'm in South Florida. So my goal is for next year, when our cooler weather comes, that I'm equipped to be able to apply and be able to set up my stuff and go.
Do Howard Allen shows and rent a tent.
Yeah, but right now, you guys, I'm not selling anything. I don't even know if I'm gonna sell anything. So it's kind of like, do I want to like be out more to like invest in a tent that somebody can put up when I have a tent?
The light dome you have
Yeah,
is one of the easier things to put up.
Yeah.
You know, the pop-up tents look nice. I've used one, I own one, and I may be getting it back out to do some of these little pop-up shows that I'm looking at doing.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, I have an easier time getting other than a couple things, I would almost rather put my whole trim line up with all the stuff I hang on it, because I've got it down to where I can do it by myself. Even the little cheap, easy ups that you can get for $200 are difficult to put up and take down by yourself, because you really need 2 people to open them up and stretch them
Right.
out. You need 2 people to close them up. Then you
That's
got to
right.
raise each leg individually. You really need 2 people to do that.
I had one for a while. For me, it was the stress factor of thinking that my tent's going to blow away at any minute, and it didn't have to be a heavy wind. Those seem like they could, they weren't that stable in terms of wind, and whether they were or not. I mean, my tent never blew away, but I hung on to it more than once, and just the feeling that being stressed out by the tent, as opposed to the tank. Well, I don't suggest buying what I have. It's old. They don't make them anymore, but it really would be the last one standing. But I don't ever stress about my tent blowing over now. So
Lee,
so
do
it's a
you
matter.
plan on doing shows just in Florida or outside of Florida?
Well, to start off, just in Florida, just
Okay.
within drive distance, because I have to, between my car and my husband's car, we're gonna have to transport things.
Starting in 1 month?
I don't know, because this is the first year that I even thought about applying, but when our weather gets cooler, we start to have every weekend and the Howard Allen, stuff like that, and we have Del Rey stuff, and I think it probably starts happening around November, December time, when our
Yeah.
weather gets delightful.
Your worst weather is November, December, and January. It doesn't get nicer till February. So you're dealing with wind. You might be dealing with hurricanes, or the end, the tail end of a hurricane. I mean, it might be somewhere else, but you're going to feel it. You're going to feel some wind. With any of these tents, you need I believe you need stabilizer bars, meaning something well, I have mine on the bottom. You can put them anywhere, but I have 3 stabilizer bars that keeps the tent from moving, from
Hoist.
swaying. I've seen, what tent do you have again?
I have the light dome
Oh,
currently,
yeah.
but you
I've
said
seen a light dome without stabilizer bars swaying in the wind. And if you know what what stabilizer bars are, they're just bars that go across the bottom, or some people have them
those
in the
things at the
middle.
top. I don't mind, yeah, mine, when you mentioned that, because they did put them on when I did the show with the new and emerging, they came by, they had a stabilizer bars. My tent doesn't have those.
Yeah, you need that. So it's a good investment.
Okay,
And they go across the bottom. They don't go across the top. That defeats the purpose. You need a second part so that so it doesn't shake if you have it, because you already have bars at the top, so you just need them at the bottom.
You want
or
to try and
some-
keep the legs together.
Yeah.
At the same distance.
Yes.
So if the wind blows and the tent starts to shift, you don't have a leg that collapses up under.
Yeah. Thanks, Court.
oh, well, there are bars at the bottom, you know, that light dome, you attach at the bottom, you attach at the top, so it's.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I do have stabilizing bars. I'm so new, so I'm just really having a great time listening to you guys. I figure I just can learn by listening.
I'm in your exact shoes. I just started doing this in 2021 and I've been through all the tents. So I just got a light dome. So I would strongly encourage you to stick with that because I do think it's easier to put up than the pop-ups like the gentleman pointed out. I go to the shows, I have to do this by myself and I cannot get a pop-up tent up by myself because it takes too much strength. You need somebody else just to hold it down. The light dome I can put up by myself 100% as a
Wow.
female.
Okay.
And so, and they're right, there's shows that I have not been able to get in with the pop-up. I'll hold on to my pop-up just for those 120-degree shows that I don't want to die at. And if they'll allow it, I'm gonna bring a pop-up, but
Yeah,
by all means, I wouldn't get rid of that if I were you.
appreciate it. Thank
I
No
you.
would
matter
suggest
No matter
was-
what tent, you've got to have adequate weight, and adequate weight that a lot of shows define is minimum 50 pounds a leg.
Okay,
I would suggest doing other shows than Howard Allen shows at first, for this one reason. They've gotten expensive. They're in the $500 range, and if you're just starting out and you don't know what you could sell, find one that's $250 or $300. Do that, because I think they've gotten at least the ones that I looked at or I was going to do are all in the 500s. You might have other ones that are cheaper, but so you'd have to look at the website to see. But I would do lesser ones at first.
okay.
Just saying.
I'll give you, let's see. Let me get my notes up because in sometime probably in June, I host an emerging artist Zoom on every other Wednesday night, and we have a topic specifically about tents and equipment and vehicles.
Excellent.
So that's coming up in June.
Will you put that on that jury page? On that,
Yes.
I love that page too, by the way. I love it so much. As someone who's so new, I love looking at what people are doing, and I love the feedback that is given because it just teaches me a lot too, watching and reading.
Another good group is the NAIA Facebook group.
Yes, I joined it.
Okay. And there's also going to be an NAIA Emerging Artist Facebook page real soon.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mark
Yeah.
Grosser, who just joined the meeting, has a couple of different groups that are useful.
Yeah, with Art Fair Lounge and Art Fair Reviews, both on Facebook.
Okay, I'm on the Art Fair Lounge, but the Art Fair Reviews.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I've got a question about tents. I have a pop-up that I use with the Flourish mesh walls and 50-pound kettlebells, but I'm considering getting a better tent. So is it a trim line that I want to get?
What
For
you have right now?
dome.
I just have a pop-up that I've got the Flourish mesh panels on, so it has stabilizer bars, and then I use 50-pound kettlebells in each corner.
A light
I
You
would
dome.
can
just
look at, you've
or
got two
trim line.
choices. One is the light dome. And it is aluminum tubing with plastic connectors and fittings. It's lightweight, and it's kind of a dome shaped top. The trim line is steel constructed, so it's a lot heavier. It has a barrel style roof. And
I can use the mesh panels on either of those, right?
yes,
Yeah. But
they
you're gonna
take up
have
a lot
to
of-
change the bottom parts or the bar that you attach to the bottom, you're gonna have to change it. That's the only thing you're gonna have to change.
Not
Oh.
necessarily.
Yeah, because it's the width. The pop-up tents are usually smaller than the finale, than the light dome and the trim line. So you might have to change one of the poles. So 3 poles you most likely have to change.
Oh, the stay bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stay bars are matched to the legs of your tent.
Yeah.
Well, the type of tent.
Yeah,
yeah, but if you get a tent that has, when you order the tent or buy a tent and it has the stay bars, it's not an issue.
and when you sell yours, you sell it with the stay bars that you currently have.
Yeah, because those bottom bars won't, they're matched to the tent.
Oh, so you're saying that the light dome and the trim line just have stay bars? Regardless of whether you're
No,
using
you have to
No,
buy
they're-
them separately.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're an add-on.
an
They're an
add-on.
add-on, but most artists use them, so have them. So if you buy something used, chances are they're probably going to be there. If you buy it new, then yeah, you need to say, hey, I want these two.
Okay.
A new basic, okay, now let me rephrase this. Last time I looked, which has been several months ago, a new basic trim line with all solid walls was in the neighborhood of $1,200.
Actually, it's 1,500 now.
1,500, that's still not bad. So between the light dome and the trim line, do they both take up about the same amount of space?
In the vehicle?
Yeah.
They're gonna be similar. The trim line probably has a few more poles to it, but we're talking about a pole that's a 1-inch diameter steel pole versus an 1.5 or 2-inch diameter aluminum pole.
Okay.
Parts are gonna be heavier,
Yeah.
and there are more parts.
With the trim line?
Yeah,
Yeah. And just to let you know, the trim line by himself is 180 pounds.
It
Oh,
is?
that's a lot. Okay.
180 pounds. So you keep that in mind. It's not, you have to divide the things. It can be done, but you have to, once you get it, what I tell people is to put the roof parts in one bundle, the PVC in one bundle, another set of the roof goes in another bundle, the stabilizer in another bundle. You have to break it out as many parts as you can, because if not, you're going to hurt
Okay.
yourself, because it's way too heavy to carry around,
Maybe I
Oscar,
should
no
be
matter
looking at
how
a
which shape
light.
you are.
Maybe I should be
Yeah.
looking at a light dome then, because I do this all by myself.
Yeah, I was just together light down, because I think that in 5 years from now, I will switch to the light dome myself.
Okay.
The only advantage of the trim line over the light dome is if it gets really windy, the trim line, they recommend you to leave the vents open in the top so the air blows out. and doesn't become a kite. And the other tents, because those handle bends, it tends to, the wind goes inside and lifts the tent up.
Mhm.
That's the main difference in the
You know,
design. Other
I've-
than that, I
I've
would
never
say
seen,
both are good tents.
I've never seen a
What?
light dome go over. I've never seen a light
I
dome.
see,
go over.
I see light
But
dome
I've,
and train lines go over both.
but I've seen a trim line go over.
I've seen light dome sway back and forth and collapse because
Well,
of the aluminum.
that's why I was talking, that's why I was saying that the stabilizer bars are a must on the bottom because to keep it from swaying.
Well,
still
that
sways
and
very.
diagonal bracing on the sides is what stops the swaying.
Diagonal bracing like with ratchet straps?
What they'll do, what some artists will do is they will take a ratchet strap and run it from like the upper left corner to the lower right corner, so it goes diagonally across the side.
Okay.
And they'll actually do two of those and form an X, and that helps a lot with the stability. They'll do that on the sides. Actually, I know an artist that does it on three sides because they don't usually leave their back open, an opening in the back, and they'll do it on the back and two sides.
Okay.
Now,
Now-
those are rare occasions too. That doesn't,
What kind of art do you have?
I'm just a 2D oil painter.
Okay. Because I'm a
So-
jeweler and I've used a pop-up tent since I put my trim line in the garage and decided I didn't want to use it anymore. So at least 15 years I've used a pop-up, a Katie canopy, but I'm not hanging things on the walls, so that's totally different.
Yeah.
are you attaching your tent to your display?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I use mesh walls, so the wind will go through. My display is also open at the bottom so the wind can go through. And I use stay bars, of course, and I use the mesh walls, which have a tightening effect similar to what the ratchet you're talking about, because you're connecting to that stay bar, the top and the sides. So that kind of adds a little more stability too.
Mhm. Plus, don't you usually do like a 10 by 12, so you're really putting two together?
I used to use two pop-ups to do 10 by 20, but in
Yeah.
recent years, I've just brought one with two awnings. And I put the 10-foot in the middle, and then I put a 3-foot awning on both sides and run my cases straight across. So, but I don't use any other walls. I just use a back wall. And when I leave at night, I just cover my cases with tarps. So I leave it open completely.
Now, one of the advantages Trimline has is because they have a lot of different parts, you can do a lot of different things with them as far as configurations and setups. I've had a setup where I actually put a wall. I do not have pro panels. I use cable hangers. And I have set a wall up in the middle of my booth. I've set French walls up. I've set all sorts of places. You can do walls it's not as easy with a light dome.
Why is that?
What's that?
Why is it easier to do with a trim
You
line?
have more different kinds of fittings,
Okay.
and the tubing that is used for most of the poles in a trim line is something that I can go down. It's 1-inch electrical conduit. I can go down to Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, any kind of hardware store, and pick it up, cut it if I want custom lengths of things, stuff like that.
Okay.
So for me, it's been real easy to do that.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Hey, I want to ask Oscar something, because I didn't get a chance to call him today. Usually I talk to him like on Monday. What show did you do and how'd you do last weekend?
Vero Beach. Vero Beach
yeah?
is I will not go back. It's not my market. It's too many. There's money in there, but it's too many the crowd is don't sound bad, but it's not a way to describe it. They are really old. Um, and
Vero Beach, they must have
yeah,
moved there from Fort Myers.
it's a really old crowd. It was most buying really small things. I had 20 sales, around 20 sales. So it's not the volume was there, but it's all small stuff. And
Yeah, but they must look at the artist and say, boy, they're getting really old.
maybe, but that was the first time I was there, and last time I'll be there. And they got too many unwanted rules. They start charging $100 extra if you hang anything in the sidewall, even if you
Really?
have for storage. Yeah. So
That's stupid.
if
Wait a minute. Have they
yeah,
done that
and if you
forever?
no, that's a new thing that everybody
Yeah.
was complaining about. It's a new thing.
A new
Like
thing.
if like I got a jeweler next to me, and she didn't want to see my wine wall, so she asked me to take the wall down and put a piece of my work in there. And the commander came around and said, "No, you have to pull the wall down and take your pictures out of there."
Oh God.
I've done that show
You
a
know
bunch
what?
of times. And another thing they did to me is they came around and told me that I had to have prices on every item that could be seen. So
Yeah,
all my have tags.
You know what? You know what they did? They got together a couple of weeks before the show and said, "What could we do to fuck our show up?" And they did that. You know, I mean, you'd think there's a logical thing, and they're doing just the opposite. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm
No,
I'm not a fan of putting work on the outside of a booth, but to charge $100 to use that space because you're
It's
still
still
within
your
your 10 by
space.
10. You're renting a
Right.
10 by 10. You should be able to do what you want in that space.
Well, and then to tell me I had to have a price on every item that the customer could see without asking. I'm like, well, that's not how you sell jewelry.
And I would have said, is that how it is in Saks? Is that how it is in Tiffany's? Is that how it is in a department store? I
Right,
mean, what are you
right.
talking about?
yeah, that's another thing that kind of throw me off because she, you know, the jeweler next to me, she had to put price tag in every single of the stuff, and she didn't have nothing in there that was less than $1,000. So it was, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well,
So
I
that
never
was
did
that.
that show, and I'm never going to. So
They got good breakfast. There's good parking. They get a lot of good artists in there. There was people that did really well. It's just not. It's a really traditional crowd.
Yeah,
And
isn't that run by a group of artists?
I think so. And they are really old. The people in charge are really old.
Because
They
I
only have
remember at one time photographers weren't allowed to do the show if they had photographs printed on canvas because it competed with painters.
and that's the show that I sent you the messenger. That's the one of the show that they combine digital art with photography.
see,
And there is
I
a
would
way
like
not to
I
do it
like
again.
that rule because I never liked photography on canvas. I didn't like the way it looked.
Well, that's, you know, it's not what people look. I'm going to say this. It's what the customer wants. If the customer wants something in certain kind of way, that's the only thing that matters to me. Everything else is irrelevant because nobody else is paying my bills but the customer.
See, that's interesting because I learned that you make your work. You're an artist. You make your work. You don't make what they want. You make what your work, and you get them to buy what your vision. I don't like. To me, Oscar, that's called selling out. You wrote a whole thing about that, and I didn't respond to it, but I didn't like it because that's what you're saying. You would change to sell them what you think they want, as opposed to your own vision, which you don't do anyway. You say that, but you don't do that. You make your own work based on what you like. So I don't know why you're saying that because you don't that because you make your own work. You're an artist. You're not You're not making what's fashionable or what they want. It's what you do, and you explain it to them.
Yeah, but you still have to understand one thing.
If you want to make
like,
if you want to make a living at this, you know, Oscar's right. You have to, there's a fine line in there, because I will tell you that just doing what you want and getting nice, you know, getting in top shows doesn't pay the fucking bills. Excuse my language.
Well, and that's why I'm in poverty. What can I say? You know,
Something about who runs that show. I think it's an artist club, and
it's
they
an artist club. It's an artist club, and
yeah, and the club members get extra points. So if they want in the show, they get extra points when they get juried.
that's really great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Vero Beach.
You know, artist clubs, you know, are they like hobbyists? You know, they call it anybody. Hey, listen, you can print a card and call yourself an artist. There's no standards. So is it that kind of group?
I know.
I think so. I think it's just a local club that
Yeah.
meet and pretends to be artists, but aren't really making that as their profession.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of like Queenie Park in St. Louis.
Oh, really? Same thing?
Yep. There's a St. Louis artist group. And then there's some kind of Missouri, I call it Best of Hands or something like that. That's some kind of Missouri group that if you, I think you get juried and then you get this little plaque that says Missouri Best of Hands or something like that. You see them at Queenie Park and Lohmeyer in St. Louis a lot.
What time are you going to be done?
I've got a question real quick about two different shows. So it's my first year of traveling out of the area. And I don't know.
I'm going to go Saber. Call me.
I got into both of these shows. So which one should I do between it's Webster in Missouri or Kalamazoo? They're both in June.
I'm going to Kalamazoo this year.
Where do you live?
I live in Ann Arbor, so if I do Kalamazoo,
yeah.
I could do it without a hotel.
Well, are they the same date?
Same dates.
It's the weekend after.
Which one in Kalamazoo you're doing?
It says it's just Kalamazoo Institute of the
Yeah.
Arts.
It's a day and a half, but there's a half day and then a full day, right?
I've done Webster Groves a few times. I haven't done it recently. It's a nice little show. People spend money. Setup's been pretty easy.
How can I help
It's
you?
all on grass in a big grassy area at a small college.
With Paula. That one was fishing. That one was fishing. They go, can you hear?
So I don't, it's going to be a drive for you, but if you want to, see what life on the road's like,
Yeah.
it's something you might consider.
Yeah, I will have only done 2 shows before that where I actually have to travel to. In April, I'm traveling to Chattanooga, and then in May to Belleville. And I'm thinking maybe just do Kalamazoo because it's so close. I went there for the garage sale art fair and I didn't even have to stay overnight in the hotel. So it's like 90 minutes.
I don't know anything about that show, and
I don't know anything about the Webster show. Actually, I don't know anything about the Kalamazoo show either, except that.
Well, I've done Kalamazoo a few times, and it sometimes it falls on the same weekend as St. James Court, and every so many years they'll be on opposite weekends. So when it's on opposite weekends, I go up and do Kalamazoo. It's
in October.
Yeah, it's the weekend after St. James.
Isn't it
cold? Oh no, I'm sorry.
October?
The weekend after Summer Fair. I'm sorry, Summer Fair, Cincinnati. So it's June. It's the second
Oh, I
weekend.
did that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What-
And
what-
we actually have had
weekend?
some good shows there for a smaller show. It's done really well for us.
What's
Okay.
the
that's good
weekend?
to know.
I have to look at my calendar. I think
It's the 7th and 8th. It's
yes, the weekend after St. James, or weekend after Summer Fair in Cincinnati.
So I'm also doing summer fair. Is that that's a decent show, right?
I've done Summer Fair for 20 years straight.
Okay.
The
Okay,
summer fair,
Crystal,
just to let you know, its location matters in that show.
I have
Okay.
a great.
hey, Crystal,
No.
Yeah.
what people say has no bearing on how you'll do.
Right.
Everybody's different. I just want to tell you.
Yeah.
And one of the things you'll notice is how the shows are run, the conditions of the shows. And you're doing Belleville, which is a top, they get a lot of support from the community. And you just compare that to some of the other events you're doing. I'm not
Okay.
going to say whether they're good or bad. I mean, I have my opinion on like Kalamazoo, but I'll never tell anybody to do it or to not do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's your own thing. But Belleville's one of the shows that you really want to do
Okay.
because of the way it's run, because how they treat you, you know.
I think Cincinnati's another one. They've got the same director's been there forever. This will be the last year it's in that location.
Yeah.
They had sent out letters. The property's been bought by the symphony and they're going to build a big performing center there. So hopefully being the last year in that location, it'll really bring some people out. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
are any of these shows still available? Because apparently I'm getting rejected from everything, including the mid to low level shows. So apparently my work sucks now, and so I'm looking for other things to do. You know?
Those have both juried, both Kalamazoo and
Well, that
well, maybe has Kalamazoo juried? I know Summer Fair has.
no, they're
Yeah, they
they're
both have.
juried.
Okay.
They're juried, but that doesn't, to me, that doesn't mean anything.
Well,
You know.
yeah, I know.
In fact, sometimes I think the better you are, the greater chance you have of getting rejected, especially to a mid to low level show. Um, I'm just wondering if they're still open. I'm starting to, you know, I say this tongue in cheek, except that I mean it, but I'm trying to be funny. But I'm faced with doing some of these events that I said I'd never do again before. I'd never do, period.
You may be dodging a bullet this year. I mean, it's an election year. Instead of doing 10 shows in Florida, January through April, I did 4. And every show that I would have done, all the reports back were average sales or it rained on one of the 2 days. So I think Florida's been kind of off this season.
Yeah, I did 4. One was solid, one was really good, and the last 2 I did was torture. If you ask me, I'd rather have somebody stick spears in my nails, tie me up, and stick me with hot pokers than to actually do the show. If you actually ask me what I would rather do, I take the pokers. That's how.
Which one was it? Which
I'm
one
not
was it? I'm
saying.
curious.
Oh no. I
Okay,
am
'cause
not
I'm in
saying
Florida,
anymore.
okay.
I am not saying.
I thought
You
you
know.
could save me. I thought you could save me from
Oh
treacherousness
no, you
of
have to
torture.
experience this stuff yourself. I'm not saving anybody from anything.
Oh, come on, Barry.
No, I have this reputation of complaining and doing that stuff. I'm not doing it anymore. You know, just let the reputation ride for the next 10 years. I don't care. I am
Let's
not
not
gonna.
talk about reputations.
Yeah,
Very,
that's right.
I'm going to tell you,
I'd rather have
I'm
hot
sorry.
pokers under my fingernails. Sounds like complaining.
Well, but I didn't say what shows they were.
No,
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
when the show promoter sees the Zoom,
I don't care.
according to him, Larry, he will never do a show with them again.
Hey, Oscar, she was saying that I said you know what? You know how I felt, Oscar? That she was pressuring me to get everything, to get it done, to do it a certain way. She was pressuring me. I'm the one that felt the pressure. She's the one that should apologize to me, not me to her.
Well,
I just reacted to, it's 7 o'clock. She's saying, we're opening the show. We're opening at 8 o'clock. I'm struggling to get my stuff done, to pack up,
I just keep telling you that's her job. They have to tell you.
No,
There's a show in here.
they just singled me out because they discussed me before the show.
No, there's a show. They didn't do that. There's a show in Illinois, Geneva Art Fair. The show opens at 8 o'clock at night on Sunday. There's 3 that open at 8 o'clock at night, and they tell you have to be out of the street by 8 o'clock. Period.
Yeah. When does the
Figure
show
out how
end?
to do it. Figure out how to do it, but they don't care. You have to have the stuff outside of the street by 8 o'clock.
Okay, when did the show end?
The show ends 5, so they give you 3 hours.
How far was the parking to the show?
It depends where you want to be. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 30 minutes walk.
Listen, I had to walk a half a mile to get my vehicle to drive back, at the end. And then by the time you get in, and I also had to wait because I couldn't pull in right away. I got it done. Hey, I got it packed up. It was 7:45, but I was really exhausted. And I was working, without somebody coming in and telling me, you gotta hurry up and get done. I was
Awesome.
doing it as fast as I could do it.
So here's another question that I have, since we're complaining about shows and all that setup and all that type of stuff. Just segue to something else that I'm curious about. If you would like to take a piece into a gallery, a quirky little store, is that something that you guys do? Do you have your art in other places other than in these shows?
Well, having owned a gallery or run a gallery for 10 years and having sold wholesale and retail, there's the time to do it is during the week when, not on the weekend where the show, you're doing a show, you bring something in. No, the time to do it, and you do your research, it's a totally different entity. So you look, so you scout it out, you'd say, oh, I really want to be in this gallery. And maybe you contact them by email or, you could walk in and say, engage in a conversation and say, I do artwork. You want to see my work? Because a lot of places will throw you out. Will say, no, we don't want any. So, you gotta figure out a way to do it that's not obtrusive.
You got just the boxes as a whole, humans in the boxes. Does anybody else have, does anybody have things in other places that have visibility?
Lee,
Yeah.
and after COVID, one thing that most artists, I hope they learn, is that you have to have multiple stream of incomes. You can't just not depend on one thing only. So if you can find a couple of galleries that work for you, you can bring up your online sales up, all that stuff help. Don't just
Oh yeah.
It's hard to do, but don't focus just on art shows. You need to have multiple streams of income. If not, you're going to struggle, because what happened if you get like this year in January, every single show in Florida it rained out. So what you do if you don't sell anything in that month?
The galleries
have to
that
be
I
careful
sell
with
to now, came into my booth. They saw me at a show, came into my booth and placed an order. Or said, let's get together later on. I send them my information, my wholesale price sheet, and then they order off that, actually with
go ahead.
Now that it's different. Before 2001, half my business was galleries. And you could do the ACC trade show, American Craft Council. I mean, if you were 3D, 2D would be the sofa or one of those. But those are expensive. So anyway, and it's a different kind of thing. But half my business before 2001, half my sales were to galleries. Half my total amount were to galleries.
Okay, I have another new question.
Wait, let me just finish this.
Okay, okay.
All those galleries have gone out of business, and I asked people from the the entities still exist to where the galleries can come and place orders, but it isn't. But it's not well attended anymore. You can't. It's hard to do. So, and also every show I used to do, there'd be at least one gallery that would come in and want work. You'd see it at every show. Now you hardly ever see it. So I thought I was lucky to get 2 galleries where they came in. Actually, 2 galleries that aren't even far from where I live. I mean, within 300 miles. They ordered. They were in Florida, and they bought stuff in Florida for their gallery that was 300 miles from where I am, which I thought was really funny. So that but the other thing that you're asking, walking into a gallery, well, don't carry work when you go in there. Go in and engage in a conversation and have your images, on your phone or wherever. And then they might say, oh, let me see that. Let me see your work. And you go, well, I just happen to have my vehicle out here with all my work, but first you need to like, you can't, jump on them. You could call or send emails. That I don't know how much response you get, because I think other people do that. People do that with galleries.
Mhm.
Do you
I
need
think
to,
Oscar's right. You need more than one stream. We have a store. We do as much in the store as we do at the art fairs. And I know Oscar has a picture hanging business where he actually installs.
Yeah. So your store, do you just sell your work?
I'm a full service jewelry store. I buy estates, I do appraisals, I do
No,
repairs.
it's jewelry.
We
It's
feature
only a
my
jewelry
work.
meeting.
Yeah, but we don't buy stuff from other vendors. We do carry estate jewelry, which we buy through estates, and then my work.
We had 200 artists in our gallery.
Wow, that's
I
a
mean,
lot.
Well, yeah, but not all at once. I'm just not all at once. Because you don't necessarily, you kind of change it up. You don't want always the same people, unless they sell really well. Then you want to keep their work. But you're trying stuff.
Lee, galleries are,
You go to buy people's work. Yes, go on.
galleries are like doing art shows. You've got to find the right fit for your work. So you've got to do a lot of research on, what kind of work the gallery carries. You can go online, look at their websites and look at the different artists they carry, and then find one that's got work, that has artists that's not the same as yours, but kind of similar. And not all galleries carry all mediums.
Yeah.
That's right. And they have to like your work, because if they like your work, they'll push it, they'll promote it. Like what I would do is somebody come in and said, I need a gift. Okay. And this is this is before 2001. So it's a price thing. And I'd say, okay, how much you want to spend? And somebody would say, well, $250, a wedding present. Let's say it's a wedding present. So then I would show them, 4 or 5, maybe 10 things that were in that price range. And then I'd show them a couple of things that were more expensive, and a lot of times I would sell the more expensive thing, but you show them what they, in that price range, and let them make the decision. So my point is, on the flip side, if they like your work, you're going to get shown. When somebody comes in looking for something, it doesn't have to be sold. They don't have to sell it, but if they show your work, just show it, you'll get your percentage of sales in that gallery. Because what you're 2D?
Me?
Yeah.
That is a novice question, a novice answer that I don't know what that means.
God, I can't believe 2 dimensions.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Or 3 dimensions.
I paint on wood. I do mandala art. I don't know what that
That's
It's
gonna be
two-dimensional.
considered
2D.
two-dimensional
Three-dimensional
art.
would be sculpture. You know, things that take up space.
Have three
No, they're
dimensions to
flat.
them.
They're
Yeah, so
flat?
yours is flat. It's just 2 dimensions.
Okay. Okay.
Well, technically it has 3 dimensions, but it's the third dimension is
The third one's
just
real
like
small.
super thin.
Unless you have things
Gotcha.
sticking out.
My other question, does everybody have a website? And is that really super important?
Yes.
Yeah, because no, they don't take you seriously.
Okay.
Even if you're just using it as a contact point to keep people knowing where you're at, and what you're doing. We
So
don't
it's
really
like
tell much
more-
off the website.
So it's more than just a landing page, because I was talking with someone about just kind of like having a landing page. Is it the type of website that needs to be monitored and changed, I guess, then? So it needs to have somebody to take care of it.
Well,
If-
There's
you
a,
want to take care of it.
No, basically what you need is one of your pictures so people can identify you with it. And
Uh-huh.
maybe your art show schedule and all your
Okay.
contact information.
Okay.
and I would
if
suggest
you're more
a small
sophisticated-
gallery of your work.
Well, and if you're more sophisticated, a sign-up form for your mailing list.
We use our website mainly just to stay in contact with people on the road, but mainly it's to send people to our store in our local area. So when someone types in custom jewelry, I want my website to be right there at the top on the first page with all the big guys. And there's ways to do that organically, and there's ways you can do that if you pay money. So that's what we use ours for.
There are a lot of services that are cheap or inexpensive. I just got into Wix the last couple days. That's one that's cheap or free, and it's got, you know, some tools. It's got a lot of good tools where it's easy. You don't have to have a lot of knowledge, and it's easy to go in and, oh, I want to put these 5 or 10 pieces up, or oh, I have some new work. Let's go take a couple down and put a couple new ones up.
And you're able to do that with your own website?
Yes,
Okay.
there are. If you're willing to spend an hour or two learning some things, then you have a lot of options as far as maintaining it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Frank
Court, do they have a
left-
storefront?
Frank left early, but he works with a lot of artists, helping them with their websites.
Yes, Wix has got different levels from free to, you know, I don't know what their highest level is, but yes, there are stores included in Wix.
Okay.
It's what we just moved the NAIA website to. That's why I've just been working on it. And there's other. Square bought somebody, didn't they?
Square bought Weebly.
Okay, Weebly's another one. You know, if you
Yeah,
use,
they want Weebly back, but I had a Weebly and then set up a Square Market. And when they combined things, suddenly my Weebly site went. Oop. And yeah, I got help from Frank. He couldn't get it back either. So, but he helped me redo the Square one. So I have pages now rather than one long stream, and he helped with some other stuff too.
Square,
So-
if you use Square, if you're credit card processing,
Yeah,
Square has some services and you can do some online sales and do some things there. There's a lot of different inexpensive ways to do it so it looks nice.
Square's free if you want it as a sort of a catalog. But most of their paid upgrades are when you have employees. Or you need it as a QuickBooks type thing to do your taxes and all that. So mine's just the free version because it's just me and I can do it on an Excel sheet without any big problems.
I know, I had one for a while. GoDaddy offers some stuff in addition to domain name registration. They do some some really basic website hosting. There's a lot of companies that do it.
For what I understand, the easiest one, if you're doing the maintenance yourself, is Squarespace, which is not the one. No, it's totally different company.
Yeah.
If you have somebody that can help you with the, I not recommend. I use Shopify, but I not recommend it to artists to use it because you need to do a lot of stuff in the back. You know, have somebody that can help you with that.
I have
Good idea.
Shopify and I love it, but you do have to learn, either know how to do it or enjoy learning how to do your back end and stuff. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, it can do some great things. And if you want to sell, if you actually want to sell on your website, it's really great. But if you just want a portfolio or, you know, a place, you know, so that people can contact you, it might be overkill. But if you do want to sell, and like Oscar said, you know, if you're willing to learn, I love it.
So you have some options. You just have to. The first thing I would suggest is figuring out what you want your website to do. Do I want it just to be a contact form? Do I want it to have a gallery? Do I want to sell off of it? You know, do I want to, you have to define what you want it to do. And then from there, pick the hosting company that's going to give you the tools to do what you want to do. Because like I said, Shopify is nice if you're trying to sell stuff, but if you're not going to sell stuff, you don't need Shopify.
I've also got a group that's called artfairnational.com, and you can actually have a landing page with a gallery with Stripe as the credit card processing company for $25 a month. And we take no percentages from your sales. So it's really the cheapest way to have a website on the internet. Although we haven't been promoting it, it's still out there. We haven't taken it down. You might want to check it. It's very, very simple to use. We have, I know,
what's it called again?
artfairnational.com. I know that Michael Merriman uses it as his website, and Dave Frobader is using it as his website. And the only downside that if we keep it up, we may change this, is your name of your website will be a number and then your name. So it's like portfolio 5786 and your last name. That's the one thing on it that I would like to change if we decide to start promoting it again. I'd like for people to be able to choose the name of their landing spot.
Thank you. And thanks,
And
guys. I'm
that's
going to
gonna-
sign off. I appreciate you guys all so much. Super great. And I'm going to keep on learning. So I appreciate it.
If you want to, give me your email address and I'll add you to, I send out a reminder every Tuesday morning.
Oh, I see it on Facebook on the jury
Yeah, but I
thing.
don't post it to Facebook all the time.
Oh, okay. You know what I'll do? I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it, you guys. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye. Crystal, Bonnie, and I have the next 7 emerging artist Zooms planned out.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to them.
We've got topics planned out for them.
Oh, good. Yeah, I
So-
enjoyed the last one. I hope you're able to attract some more artists.
I
It's
think
been
we
a
will
really good
as things go
resource.
along. I've got to get into Facebook today or tomorrow and set up the, there was an NAIA emerging artist Facebook page that had really old information, and before we got started on our new program, they did away with it. So now we're going to go back in and set it up again.
Oh, good. I hope at some point in there you'll tell us all about how to do lighting in tents, because the whole thing confuses me.
How to do what?
Lighting in tents, electricity and batteries and things called jackeries and stuff. I just don't get it.
That is number 5 on the list.
Oh, good. It made the list.
Well, the 5th one we're going to do, and if you want to look at a calendar, you can figure out the date. The first one, number 1 will be the one on the 20th. So whatever 10 weeks from that is, we're going to talk about tents and displays and vehicles and all that stuff. And I will put electricity in my notes to make sure we cover it.
Thank you.
Really, there's 2 ways to do electricity, and it's either pay for it at the show if the show provides it, or take your own.
Okay.
And it depends upon the shows that you do, if they have it, if you need it, if they charge for it. So there's an equation in there you have to figure out.
Yeah. Do
A
you
lot
really
of the
only need
shows-
electricity? Do you really only need electricity if you're doing shows that run into the evening hours?
Yes.
No,
Oh,
Or in the
Yeah,
shade.
right. I knew we'd hear some.
Well, let me rephrase that. Do you
Need
ask-
is a questionable word.
You know what?
You don't need it, but on a
I
cloudy
used to
day,
think that. I used to
if you're
think
on a
that
cloudy
way.
day and your work's lit up, you will
It may-
shine better than the guys on each side of you.
Right.
You
And it
know-
also depends upon your medium and the kind of work you have within that medium.
Okay.
I have diamonds, and I want the diamonds to sparkle, so I always have lights. And I
You know-
noticed Oscar recently has got his new setup for lights going on.
yeah, you need the sparkle. That's what I call it.
You know, I don't know if you need the sparkle or anything. All I know is that I never used lights unless it was dark. But then last year I started using lights, and I noticed more people were walking into my booth with the lights. And you know, during the daylight, it doesn't really it doesn't really show anything, but it must have some effect because people were coming in. I did better sales when I had lights. So, you know, sometimes I get lazy and go, I don't want to put those lights up, but really it pays off.
It does make a difference, even because this is the way I see it. You better off having it and don't need to use them than not having it and then need them. So, because you don't know if you're going to be in the shadow of a building all day long, or you're going to be
Yeah.
under the trees. You don't know if it's going to be cloudy that day. You know, those are the things that you have to keep in mind. I don't like how the cables look running around in the roof, but I don't want to have the floodlights or LED lights that I used to use. So I got the Ryobi workstation lights, but I don't like how they look. So I might look around to replace them. But if you buy a jackery, I strongly suggest to get at least 2 1,000 ones. If you are not want to charge the jackery every night. So, but you're going to need at least 2,000 watts to be able to charge it every night.
Okay.
You know, here's my thing with lights. A practical, real world example. Last year at Ann Arbor, they didn't they give you electricity, but somehow it took forever for them to plug in our lights, the electricity to have it work on the first day. Now I watched this. I'm behind a building, or a building is blocking the sun. I'm actually facing the sun, but the sun comes up, and but it's being blocked. So really, I didn't get any sun till 11 o'clock. On the first day, when I didn't have lights till later on, because they didn't, because it was way high up and they have to plug it in. I didn't sell anything in that first hour between 10 and 11. The next day I had lights and I sold 6 pieces between 10 and 11. So is that coincidence, or is that like because of the lights? I don't know, but all I can say is that with lights I sold, without lights I didn't sell. So,
And what it comes down to is, and it's really difficult to figure out until you figure out which shows you're going to be doing and what those shows charge for electricity. Because to get into a battery setup, you're going to spend, things like the Jackeries. What, Oscar, are they now $750, $1,000?
It's $1,000 each, 1,000.
Oh, geez.
but they have sales, and they were selling them for $650 or about
Yeah, the old
$700.
models. The
Or
old
you do
models.
what I do. I use a marine battery and a inverter. Marine batteries at Walmart are $99. But I carry 3 of them. It takes me 1 battery per day. So if I'm doing a 3-day show, I want to have 3 batteries.
And they're heavy. That's the other thing that you have to think about it.
They are
And
heavy.
they take
Yeah,
up space.
it's like, it's literally carrying 3 car batteries around with you.
Yep. But then on a stormy day, they become extra weights.
Yep, they do.
That one I didn't know. That's a good one.
Yeah, but you have to, if you're doing that, you have to cover the positive connector, I think. Just to let you know.
Yeah, I always keep the little plastic thing that comes with it. So when it's in the truck, in case a pole was to come across and hit the negative, the positive, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. But other than that, no big deal.
And shows may charge, I've seen shows charge anywhere from $25 to $85 for electricity.
Like 150.
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
How much is Long's Park?
I don't know that one.
95% of shows don't have electricity. The outdoor shows, they don't even offer, most of them. Some do, but a lot of them don't.
Yeah. Some give it to you.
Some give it to you.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Like
You're not
Three
giving
Rivers.
anything. They just added to the booth fee.
Yeah, they don't give you anything. You're right.
Like Ann Arbor just adds it to the booth fee. They don't charge extra.
Yeah, we used to have to pay extra at Ann Arbor for electricity.
Yeah. Every single show except for the guild.
But the guild just adds it to the price of the booth fee.
It's the same it's the booth fee and the guild is the same that every single show in Ann Arbor. There's no difference in price. So they
all have their little quirks. They all have their little perks and quirks.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 10 shows a year and spending, $100 a show on electricity, yeah, you can, it's a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
If you're not, or you're doing shows that have electricity, it may not be a worthwhile investment.
So it sounds like something I don't really need to, probably not wise to make a decision on it now. I need to do this year and then kind of assess at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And you can go, when you apply to the shows in the prospectus for the show in ZAP, it will talk about the electricity, whether it's provided or not, whether it's available or not, and if it's an extra charge. And so as you're doing your research on shows you're thinking about doing, if it's important for you, look at that and track that information and track how much it is, to help make those decisions later on.
Okay.
But for
I'm-
Belleville, you're going to need the lights for sure for Friday night.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wait, yes. Yeah, yes, I think I knew about that.
So
Now-
at least get the lights, and don't just get good lights. Don't spend, if you're going to buy, just buy the right ones. Don't buy something just to half-ass job. Just get a decent set of lights that will do the job.
Okay.
Where's your booth in Belleville?
Belleville's the square one, right? It's on the
Yeah.
square.
Yeah.
It's on the square.
Are you on the square
Yes,
or off the square? Okay.
I'm on.
A lot
you
of
should have
shows that have, run into the evening like that, I found they usually provide electricity.
I think that one might. It either provides it or I paid for it because I know
No,
I have
It
electricity.
does. It does, because I remember plugging in the back.
Yeah, they
With a
provide it for
extension
sure.
cord.
I did it last year. They provide electricity, but you need
Yes.
to bring your lights.
Okay.
You're going to need them. I'm going to tell you that for sure.
It was
Even
nice,
during the
but I
daytime.
gotta take off. I'll see you next week.
Bye, Mark.
Have a
Bye,
good
Yeah,
one.
Mark.
bye, Mark.
Bye-bye.
You need weights. That show could be windy.
How much weight do I need?
How much weight do you got
50-pound kettlebells on each
on
corner?
each one?
Yeah.
Should be enough.
Okay.
Well, you'll find out. But I do I do 45 on each, but my tent's a tank that they don't make anymore.
Yeah.
So there's part of that. And I have stabilizer bars. So
Well, I do
50
have
pounds should be
stabilizer
enough.
bars. I do have the stabilizer bars, but I do only just have a pop-up, and I just don't know whether I want to pull the trigger to get, a better tent right now or later.
Just wait until you make a little bit more money and just do it, and you for sure want to keep doing it. Because once you open that kind of worms, it's kind of hard to.
Don't be afraid to start looking now, because you may come across a really good deal on a used tent.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the place to find that is Art Fair Insiders.
Yes, I look at that occasionally.
That's where people like they do a couple shows, they buy all the stuff and say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So there's a lot of people that are selling their stuff.
Okay.
Part of the problem is they want too much for it. So you need to bargain down, you need
Artist Garage.
Yeah, that's another
on
one.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yes, Artist Garage.
There was somebody got a hell of a deal, because there was somebody selling a trim line and pro panels and some other stuff for $750.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was somebody down in Florida, and I don't know how old the stuff was, but it would have been somebody got a good deal.
I got my craft for $300, and she bought stabilizer bars for me because she had two for sale. She wanted I wanted the trim line, but she wanted to sell it to somebody else. So in order for me to take the craft out, which I'd had before and knew what I was getting, she bought stabilizer bars for $185. So so I got a really great deal on it, and I just combined. I mean, I've had the same type of tent for 35 years, so I just use one as parts for the other one because it's really old. It's an antique. Belongs in the Smithsonian. But I'd have to wash the top first. So
I bought a 10-year-old tent that had been used less than 10 times for $400.
Yeah, you can find them if you're looking, you can find them. I would get, what? It's hard for me to tell you that you need this, but Belleville's could be really windy. That's one of the places where somebody's tent blew into mine and knocked mine over, broke my leg, and everything tumbled over. But it was in the corner. It was in the corner. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, that square. It was like, you know, right in that corner. There are some windy spots in that show, really windy. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be windy or
Yeah.
it's going to happen, but it could happen. Um, you know, I don't know, just something to think about for that show.
I have a good insurance policy too, so there's that at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. That's great, you know.
You know, you can do the concrete filled PVC that a lot of artists do. You can do, you know, the kettlebells. You can do the sandbags. I've seen a lot of people attach weights to their stay bars on the bottom.
Oh, like
Yeah.
drape it over them.
Yeah, they'll take like the
Mhm.
sandbags or kind of like saddlebags.
I
And
have
they'll,
some of those that I don't use. I could fill those up and plop them over the
yeah,
bottom.
John Deere tractor, they're called
Yeah.
space
Yeah,
tractor weights.
I looked for those. They're expensive because they have to be shipped.
They are expensive now. No, you can buy them at
See if they have them on Amazon with free shipping.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You
You
can
know, I
also
got my
have it delivered to
kettlebells.
Home Depot.
I
But you
got my
could also
kettlebells
find them at
free
flea
from Walmart.
market.
I got all 4 of my kettlebells for free because Walmart said they showed up on my doorstep, and then I got an email the next day saying, "We're sorry, but your order was damaged. We have to cancel it and we'll refund you." But I was sitting there with them on my porch. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
I went to a scrap metal yard and bought a long piece of steel that was weighed just under 200 pounds and had them cut it into 4 sections for me. And those are my weights.
I got Happy Feet. They don't make these anymore, but basically it's a solid piece of metal that weighs 45 pounds with a handle, kind of a handle. And I have that on all 4 of my corners. And
The nice
45
The
Yeah.
nice thing about the weights that I have is they're long, but they're narrow. And they actually fit inside a piece of downspout. And so I use a piece of white downspout to cover them up in my tent.
Oh, that's nice.
So they don't, you know how your kettlebells.
Yeah, they're kind of clunky.
Yeah, and especially, you know, the front. If you're right next to other people, you know, you have to have them basically in your tent. You can't set them
Mhm.
out front, can't put them off to the side. So these kind of eliminate a lot of that issue. And that's the problem with some like the John Deere tractor weights and some of those other things.
You could fit them kind of up against the legs, you know.
Yeah.
They're a little obtrusive, but not really a lot obtrusive. Because I don't use the Happy Feet the way they were intended, which means you screw your they're made so you screw your tent leg into it and it sits flat. But the problem with that is they also move on the ground. So I've seen other people with some friction, you know, something that creates friction on the bottom so that the tent doesn't move. I just hang mine. So they're like the John Deere thing, but they hang. They're on the ground, you know. And I have them close to the right next to the tent leg. And sometimes I tie it to the tent leg so it doesn't swinging around.
You
Mhm.
should always tie it to the tent leg.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, I pretty much do.
It's a requirement at some shows that you have your weights attached
Well,
to the tent legs so they won't
mine
swing.
mine are
So
on the
I've
ground.
so
Mine
I've
don't swing at all. That's
so I've
in fact,
suspended them from the corners and then strap them around the leg at the bottom.
Yep,
yeah,
that's the right way to do it.
yeah.
Okay.
See, I don't like in fact I think that when you like people have them halfway down, so they're not touching the ground, I don't think that works as well. They need to be on the ground. Your weight has to be on the ground. What do you think of that, Court? Agree or not
Mine,
agree?
mine hang halfway down. That's the full weight is on the tent, added to the tent. If it's partially on the ground, then I'm not, the ground supporting part of the weight. Don't have the full 50 pounds of weight there. But if you have something large and flat, that's going to have some friction with the ground, then that's different.
Well, actually, it's the opposite of friction. They move, but I don't. You know what? I wish we had some physics guy here that could explain this, because I think just the opposite. I think when you have them up in the air, you have a greater chance of your tent blowing over. When they're on the ground, I think it seems to me that because if it's going to lift, if your tent starts to lift up, you have that thing on the ground that keeps it from lifting up. You have to be able to lift that. So I think that's better. But admittedly, I don't know. But that's a question for a physics guy.
Well, if you get wind and there is, I forget what the term is, but basically if you put something up in the wind, and depending on how fast the wind is blowing, it puts a certain amount of pressure on something.
Yes.
Okay. To stop it, you have to have that much opposite pressure, that much weight to keep it from going anywhere.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if that weight is on the ground or attached to the tent. It needs X amount of weight to keep it from going somewhere.
Yeah, but there's dispersal. Like when you have it up in the air, like your thing, your 50, it isn't just 50 pounds total on the thing. Isn't it divided between the
Hey,
length that you
you
have it?
guys sound like you invented the atomic bomb.
Well, it's a
Well,
physics thing. It's physics,
the proper
Here's
answer,
here's
Barry,
the
is
answer. If you the any way you have it, if your tent doesn't blow over, it's right.
Right. And if you could park behind your booth, tie to your tent.
Oh no, I don't want like seeing vehicles behind the booth, but there was one year where at Fort Myers they used to have the booths like right by the water, and and it was really windy, but they had parking meters behind it because it was in the street, and I literally tied my tent to the parking meters, one on each side, a rope to the parking meter to keep it from blowing up into the water.
And
Let me-
that will do you absolutely no good if the wind's coming from the opposite direction. It'll just use that as a hinge and just flip your tent right over.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's better than losing your tent because it went into the water. Think about that, Court.
the proper answer to your question is you put the weights hanging all the way down as close, but they should not be touching the ground. If you put the weights in the ground and while you taking the rest of they would twist your tent with the pressure. So
Not if your legs are strong.
It doesn't matter. You see a tornado hitting a house, what happens to it?
Wait a minute. If a tornado hits a booth, it doesn't matter how it's secured.
Well,
Come on.
But if you get a gust wind of 30 miles an hour, it's going to twist your tent if you have
No
it attached.
way. You know what? I've been
Now-
in 45-mile-an-hour winds and nothing's
All right.
happened.
You guys are all full of hot air.
Yeah, I know, but
So
I just telling you what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be off the ground a little bit. You cannot have it touching to the ground. And the main reason is because if you have one leg permanently attached to the ground, depending how the wind comes, it might twist the tent. If it hit really hard in a certain way. That happens, maybe it doesn't happen with you because you have ceramic, but I can tell you with pro panels and blocking every single side, you get more surface where the wind going to do more damage. So it depends on your setup.
I have
So
wood walls.
I just telling you, sooner or later you're going to see what happens. But You never get
Nothing's
corners,
gonna
Barry.
happen.
Yeah,
You
okay.
don't get corners. So I just you don't get corners. So I just telling you from having a
Mhm.
corner in most of the shows,
Oh, corners, yeah.
you do need to have the weights a little off the ground, and you don't want anything to
Yes.
be more weight on one side than on the other one. You want to have
Yeah.
a balance all the way through.
That's true. With corners, I'd have to think about a different configuration, different setup, because you have basically two sides, and then you have two sides that are open. And that could be a problem with wind blowing you over and stuff like that. So
Crystal, we're gonna do on the 20th, we're gonna talk about creating a body of work on our emerging artist Zoom. That's gonna be our
Okay.
topic. And I'll
Okay.
get that posted tonight or tomorrow.
Looking forward to it.
she's doing Belleville. She has a body of work. If she can get into Belleville, she's better than 80% or 90% of the art for artists out there.
Yeah, Belleville was rated #1 in the country
Well, but that's
a
I
few
don't want to
years
talk
ago.
about that. That was
Not
Yeah,
Sunshine Artist.
and
close enough though.
yeah, somebody told me one of the Chicago shows was rated #1 in the country.
Generally, I'm really glad when I see the shows rated, because it's generally not the best shows, and it's great because a lot of people end up applying to those shows instead of the really good shows, which already has enough people applying, and there's already enough competition. So I like those rankings. I like those ratings. I wish they came out every week so that people would apply to the wrong shows. Of course, Crystal, if you talk to people, if you ask one-on-one, like, where's your booth at Ann Arbor?
I'm in the original.
Okay, so I'll never see you.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of the moon.
All right,
Well,
Hey,
folks, I'm gonna
Crystal,
run.
got a stupid question. Why are you doing the emerging artist thing when you get into all these really top shows?
Because
What?
it's my first year I've been doing art for a few years, and I support myself with my art, but it's the first year that I'm like traveling to do shows. And so I figure, I'm sure there's I don't know the electricity stuff. And so there's things that I need to know, and it doesn't hurt. I'm not going to be penalized for sitting in on a Zoom meeting if I don't learn anything that particular night.
I don't know.
It,
Hey, Crystal.
we have a
listen,
very broad definition of emerging artists for our Zooms.
Yeah.
Hey, I got an Ann Arbor question.
Yeah.
I did, like, every night. There's a group of us that meet at the Cottage Inn, and he used to like keep it open because it generally isn't open till 10 o'clock or whatever. And he sold the place.
Yeah, it's
It's
closed now.
now. So are we not going to be able to go to dinner together? There's a group of us that for 20 years we've been meeting there for dinner.
Yeah, I guess I have to find something else.
I know, it's a drag. I only bring that up because that's halfway between your booth and my booth.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I moved from that side of town to the Guild, to Main Street. Don't ask me why, because I don't want to tell you. But I just have moved. I
Yeah.
moved.
Well, I'm only doing the original because I got into the Guild one, but I chose the original because when I was finishing up art school, I did their emerging artist program back in 2018.
Yeah.
So, and I'm kind of a creature of habit. I don't, like change. So I'm like, well, I'll stick with that show because I know it. And I was okay with not having reproductions.
Yeah. Me too. I'm okay. I think it's great when painters don't have reproductions.
Yeah. Mark has been messaging me He's going to see Dead and Company at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
I thought they did their last show ever.
Right, but they're booked into the Sphere for 3 months.
Oh, and is it
The same lineup, John Mayer.
John Mayer, which is worth seeing? That's worth seeing.
Yeah,
He's great.
yeah. As a matter of fact, I saw a kid play that's almost just as good as John Mayer. He played with Brown Eyed Women in Pittsburgh in October, an all-female Dead cover band. And he was phenomenal guitarist.
Yeah, but can he sing like John Mayer?
He wouldn't sing anything because he was just
Aha.
filling in for their regular guitarist.
Because John Mayer's one of the voices, you know, maybe the main voice.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, I know.
Well, I'm off to eat dinner now.
Yes, we all
I'm
are.
off to get Thai food. I've been in
And-
Florida since yesterday. I haven't been to my favorite restaurant.
So did Oscar go for tacos?
Probably.
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. I went 3 times. It was interesting.
All right,
All
see you
right.
next week.
See ya.
Next week.
Bye, Crystal.
Bye, Barry.
If you're not doing anything, come over to Main Street.
All right.